Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Terry, let's start off by talking about why you started buying rentals.
Certainly. About 6 years ago, I was looking toward my retirement date, and I was thinking about what that would look like from an economic standpoint. And I'd read somewhere that the average person has one revenue stream and millionaires have 7 revenue streams. Well, I was trying to get to 4, and real estate seemed like a really good option for me at that time. And it certainly has worked out.
It really has. Today, Terry has built his 7 streams of income, and he did it by opening up a home equity line of credit against his primary residence. He used that line of credit to buy rental properties, and then he used the rent that those rental properties were generating to pay off his line of credit, and then he borrowed that money again and did it all over again. Today, Terry has 7 rental properties. 6 of them he's paid off using this strategy. And on the podcast today, we're going to go over all of his numbers. We'll figure out exactly how this works. And we're also going to take a look at one of his listings. Terry sent me over a listing for one of his properties, and he does a really nice job of fixing the properties up. So we're going to walk through exactly what he's doing and what he's not doing to his properties. Joining us on the show today from Memphis, Tennessee is Terry Roberts. We'll take a really quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Terry. If you're looking for a quick and easy way to finance a rental property, reach out to Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She has a loan program where she only cares about your deal. She doesn't need to see your pay stubs, your bank statements, or your tax returns. The only thing she's going to look at is the deal. She wants to know, does the property cash flow? If it does, she'll give you a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Now, the rates are going to be a little bit higher than a full doc loan, but it's still a great deal. She can close quickly, and there's no hassle. If you want to learn more, reach out to Chaley personally at ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com. NMLS 42056.
Rental Income Podcast.
Today, you are fully retired, right? You're not working anymore?
I retired about a year and a half ago, and one of the blessings of the rental business is, a lot of my friends retire and they seem lost. They don't know what they're going to do with themselves. You're busy for so many years, and every moment was accounted for, and meetings and phone calls and travel and responsibility and pressure and all that. Once that's lifted, then what do? Well, I've completely thrown myself into my rental business, and it really kind of scratched that itch for me, and without all the pressure and the phone calls.
Yeah. Now let's talk about how you funded your rental purchases. Like, so how did you pay for them?
What we used to start was a HELOC, and basically what that did is give us a lot, cash just ready on the spot when we found the house, and we just basically bought them free and clear.
Okay, so you would use the HELOC. This was against your primary residence?
Yes,
okay.
We had lived in a much larger home. We sold that when our kids grew up and moved away or started their lives. And when we were just empty nesters, we downsized, bought a 0 lot line home. And, but we had a lot of equity in that. And it was paid for free and clear. So we just went and got a HELOC on that. We have that HELOC to this day and use it for, renovations, other properties, a new car, whatever, It's
a
great
HELOC
tool.
is really a great tool to buy rental properties. For anyone that has equity in your house, I mean, you can easily set up a line of credit and you can borrow that money. And, we've talked about this before, that the great thing with a HELOC is you're borrowing money, but you're not paying interest on it until you actually borrow it. And to the person you're buying the house from, it looks like cash. So you can make a cash offer, which is really good.
That's a good point. I mean, when you're paying cash, and those closings only last about 5 minutes. It's the simplest, easiest thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. Now, do you then work on getting the HELOC paid off so that you can borrow that money again to buy the next property?
Right. Since we've started a rental business, I basically use the proceeds from the rental business to pay off and pay down the HELOC. So I'm probably about, I don't know, 24 to maybe 36 months away from having that down to zero. And at that point, everything's paid for, everything's free and clear. And then, we'll have an entire revenue stream. Now I could, modify that. I could go out and get just a conventional mortgage on any one of those properties, set that up for 30 years, have a $600 payment, and just have that debt and start taking income now. I just don't need the income right now.
So you've got other income sources. So the rentals aren't paying your day-to-day living expenses. You're basically taking the rents and using that to pay down the HELOC.
Correct.
That's awesome. So in the future, you'll have this great income stream of 7 paid-off rental properties that are all spitting out money every month. Is there a certain dollar amount that you target per rental property that you want to profit?
My goal going into it was to be able to net $1,000 per property.
Okay.
And that has been very doable for each and every one of them. But, there's some things that I've done most recently that I think I can even improve on that.
That's great.
That's, going like fully furnished corporate style rental.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one right now, and it makes much, much more than $1,000 a month.
Well, let's take a look at one of your properties. You sent me over one of your listings. And I mean, this property looks incredible. I mean, I would live here. This is really a very nice property. You've really rehabbed this so nicely. One thing I was wondering, do you think that you've maybe over-improved this property a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny. My mentor, he calls me the Overrenovator, but it's just a different model. I didn't have any proof or any reason to believe this would work, but I just thought if I made my properties really nice, I would get better clientele. I could charge more, and that's what's happened. There is a market out there for renters that don't want somebody that just came in and slapped some paint on the wall and cleaned the carpet and here you go.
Yeah.
But
so
that was my approach.
This seems like it's in an A-class neighborhood. So is it like, is this in a really nice neighborhood?
Yeah, I've got what I would consider both A's and B's. The A's are in a gated neighborhood that I just kind of stumbled in on one day, and I've got 3 properties in there. I wish I had 5 more, but I ended up just buying 3 in there, and then I bought others in other neighborhoods. I was trying to kind of spread things out, which looking back at it, the value of that gate in that gated neighborhood is, that's probably worth $200-300 a month,
sure.
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times you can get more cash flow with a B or even a C-class property, but I mean, I think what you're looking for, where you want this to be pretty easy, you want to have good tenants, you want the properties to appreciate. I mean, I think what you're doing is great. And I mean, making $1,000 a month, I mean, you can't argue with that. So one thing, looking at these photos, I noticed that you have a watermark on all the photos. What's the purpose for that?
Okay. Well, that's a really good question. What I set out to do is to appear larger than I am. I want to look like a major corporate entity to the renters that are looking at the properties online. Dan, there's just a whole host of people in our market here, and maybe I'm sure it's everywhere, that can't qualify for, they just get vetted out of these corporate-owned rentals. And so what they're doing is they're on the internet scanning, looking for the mom and pop that have a couple houses, and they'll lie to you, they'll falsify documents, they'll do whatever, and then all of a sudden you've got them as a renter, and they bring all their drama right to your doorstep. So by doing what I've done, I have a professional photographer take pictures of the properties and make it just really, really top notch.
Right. So you look like a professional management company, and you maybe weed out some of those people. They're not even approaching you because they figure you must be a big property management company. They'll
get weeded out. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point too. With the photos, I thought these looked really nice. So you have professional photos taken of the property?
I do. I found someone here locally that's a realtor, but also a professional photographer, and she just does a great job. I mean, she truly understands what you're looking for,
right.
And it's like $150 per property to get it done, and then you have them forever.
Right. So you're not retaking the photos every time you have a turnover. Mm-hmm. You just repost them. The other thing,
the file.
The other thing you have on here that I think is pretty cool is you have like a picture of the floor plan. And, I've seen that a lot with apartment buildings. Like if you look at apartment listings, they'll have kind of a picture of how everything is laid out. And you've got that here with your properties. And I think that's really helpful for a potential tenant. How did you get that done?
Yeah, there's a website that I stumbled on. It's called Fiverr. And it basically hosts freelance folks from all over the world that do everything you can possibly imagine. And I just typed in real estate or home floor plan, and I had dozens of options for people that if you just sent them a sketch, a rough sketch of what the floor plan looks like with the dimensions, they'll take it and turn it into a computer. Very, very nice, like architectural floor plan. I find that it's very important to have that on your online ad, because people are shopping online now. They're looking at it online. The wife's going to look at this and wonder, well, can we fit a king size bed in there? Where will the dresser go? Those types of things. And by providing that, it just, again, moves you to the top of the stack, and you can charge more money for your property.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. All right, now let's talk about the rehab that you've done to the property, because I think what's really awesome is that this property looks high end, but you've been able to save money on a couple of different things. So tell us, for the appliances, you've got nice stainless steel appliances, but you got them at a big discount. How did you do that?
Right. Well, again, I'm a small operator. I don't have, I'm not trying to buy packages for 50 units. So if I've got a property I'm working on, and I know that I'm going to need a washing machine, a dryer, a dishwasher, range, that sort of thing, we have probably, 6 or 8, maybe 10 Lowe's building centers in our area. And they have their scratch and dent section, and I just pop in and we've been able to find really nice stainless steel appliances in the scratch and dent section. And none of them have scratches or dents in them. They're basically awesome. People buy stuff, they don't like it, they return it, and then I'm buying it from anywhere from 25 cents on the dollar. A good deal is 50 cents on the dollar, but I've gotten some as low as probably 25 cents on the dollar.
That's great. Now, you've also got granite in here.
Yes.
And I know granite isn't as expensive as it used to be. It's really come down a lot in price, but you've found a way to get it even cheaper.
Yeah, there's some big shops in this area. They're everywhere. I mean, that's something that just is in every market, and basically looking at remnants. And people think, well, I don't know that I would want a remnant. Well, a remnant is basically a piece that's left over from some high-end job that was done. So it's all the current colors. And these houses that we're buying are smaller, so they don't need these gigantic slabs of granite. You're just buying smaller amounts. So remnants will often work, and they look great. We've been I think it really gives our properties a high-end look.
Right. Garbage disposals are something that are a major hassle for me. Like I've taken them out of my rentals because they're always breaking, but you found a way to save money with your garbage disposals and still have them in your property. What are you doing?
Well, initially, I was going to the big box stores and finding the little Sinkerator for $85, and it's probably a third horsepower, and I'd take those and put them in the rentals, and they sound like a jet engine taking off. And about a year or two later, you get a phone call. It's broken. It's stuck. It's this. It's that. And I just started stocking one in my garage at all times. And I got thinking, what am I doing? I should buy a better one that lasts longer. So what I've done there is I've upgraded. I don't buy the base model. I don't buy the extreme top of the line either. But there's one in the middle that's about $150, usually on sale, that's stainless steel. And in the properties that I put that in, I never get a call back. I mean, they just last and last and last and last. And that has been a real a good tip. I guess you kind of get what you pay
exactly.
for.
That's what I was just thinking. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some numbers and see how this is all working out. So what was the purchase price for this property?
This one that I sent you, it had been offered. It was on the market for $110. I came in and made them an offer of $105, and they accepted. The house was a retirement location for a mom and a dad. The dad passed away. The mom moved in with the daughter, and they were the daughter and her husband were tasked with selling this property.
Okay.
They initially they rented it for about a year, and to a nephew who really took advantage of them. They were very eager to let me take it over at that time.
How much did you spend to rehab the property?
This one was about a $10,000 rehab. I went in and I took the popcorn ceilings down, repainted everything. We put new light fixtures in. We did a little tile work in the bathrooms, the granite. I do an appliance package that includes a washer and dryer. A lot of people don't do that, but I do that. So we spent about $10,000. And then in 2020, I put a new roof on that house, and it was $7,700. So all total, I've spent $17,700 on this property.
All right. So when you bought the property, so you bought it for $105. You put $10,000 in it. You did the $7,700 roof later on, but as far as like when you actually bought it, your all-in purchase price was $115, and you bought this with the HELOC.
Correct.
Okay. And do you have this one paid off now?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And what's it rented for?
Right now it's $1,510, which is way under the market.
Yeah.
I've got two retired ladies that live there. They're sisters. They've been there for 5 years, and I just haven't had the heart to take the rent up on them.
In my opinion, I think you have a good tenant like that. They've been there for a long time. Maybe it's rented a little under market value, but you've got a good tenant, and if you do a turnover, it might cost you a few $1,000s. You're probably going to have some vacancy. I know some of my rentals are under market value, and I'm fine with
Right.
that. What do you think the
Yep.
market value would be, like if it did turn over?
I think if it turned over today, if I left that one just as a long-term rental, it would be about $1,850.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, now let's go over your expenses. So for taxes and insurance, I know this is paid off, so you don't have a mortgage payment for that's not
Right.
escrowed. But like, if you were to break it down to a monthly amount, how much per month?
The expenses on this property are about $400 a month.
Okay, so that's taxes and insurance. Is there anything else in there too?
Yeah, I'll also provide a yard service. What I don't want to run into is trouble with HOAs because tenants are not mowing their yards and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I just take that out of the equation.
Okay,
And to
so
prove
then-
how successful that's been in that neighborhood, I'm the HOA president.
okay, and so you've got an HOA payment too on that property.
Yeah, it's $396 a year, so it's like
Okay.
$40, $30 a month.
Okay. So, all right. So your rent is $1,510. Your expenses are about $400 a month. So that's getting you to your $1,100 or, about $1,000 a month.
Yep.
Now, what about budgeting for repairs? How do you do that? Because stuff's going to come up. You're going to have expenses. How do you account for that?
Well, the velocity, all the money that is generated by the rentals, that's left over after everything is paid for and income tax is paid and that sort of thing, are focused toward paying down the HELOC. If I needed a roof on this one, I just stroke a check out of the HELOC for $7,000, and then the next month all my rents come in and I pay that off.
Okay. Yeah. And I imagine your expenses are probably not very significant, with the condition you keep your properties in.
Yeah, there is maintenance. I mean, it does come up, and from time to time, a water heater's going to go out.
Sure.
But again, it's owning these rental properties. It's so important that you vet your vendors. And you can spend $600 on a top of the line 40-gallon electric water heater. It's to buy it and install it, or you can spend $1,200.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just finding the right person that will install it for a couple $100, and then going and buying it yourself and putting it in the garage, and tell them there it is, go put it in.
Terry, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I think you're doing a great job with your rental properties. Keep up the great work. One thing I want to point out is that Terry is a listener of the podcast, and he sent me an email and said that he wanted to come on and tell his story. And I just wanted to put out there that if you ever want to come on the show and tell your story, send me an email. I'm always looking for new guests, and I would love to talk to you about coming on the show. My email address is dan@rentalincomepodcast.com. Drop me an email anytime. I would love to connect with you. I would also like to thank our sponsor today. It's Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. Chaley is a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more, or you want to set up a time to talk to Chaley personally, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Make sure you follow the show. We put out new interviews every single Tuesday, and if you're following the show, you'll get notified as soon as they come out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.